Hi, FlossTube Stitchers. Today is Sunday, July 6th. Do you know what that means? Fourth night in a row that we've heard fireworks in our neighborhoods. I'm not a fan of fireworks. I wish they were all soundless, and I wish that only professionals would be able to put on a firework display. But I'm not in charge of that. It's probably not going to change anytime soon, so hopefully it's over for the season. But what's not over is my love for patriotic. I already have a list of stitching that I want to do for next year. I've been keeping track of what I've seen in Facebook groups and on Instagram and newer designs that have come out recently this spring and summer. And I just can't believe there's so many more beautiful patriotic things that I want to stitch. I'm going to start with a few vintage though. So this is called American Pie. It was designed by Polly Carbonari, and it was featured in For the Love of Cross Stitch magazine, July of 1991. And I framed this myself. I believe this might be what it called for to be finished in. This might be a frame from Wood N Needlecrafts, which I don't know if they're still in business, but there might have been another company that we carried way back in the day, whose name I might have forgotten, so I'm not really sure. But anyway, I thought this was really cute. It kind of picks up the hearts in the design, but I didn't like how tight it was, so I put mine over a thick, probably piece of foam. And anyway, it's done on, I think, fiddlers or some kind of oatmeal colored Aida cloth. Lots of back stitching on this. It's not the type of project I would probably do now. I kind of think we're not doing so much back stitching anymore, but I really enjoyed it at the time. And I do tend to keep this one up longer. All right, then remember when I showed you this and I said the pillow was for a Heart and Hand kit, and I didn't know why I had the extra pillow and why I couldn't find the kit, why I never did. Yes, I did the kit, Shelly. If I would have looked at last year's patriotic slideshow from the summer, I would have seen that this was in the slideshow. And I found it recently and put it out in a basket with some other pillows. And I'm like, why did I not remember that I even showed it last year? So anyway, that's just a real quick, because you've already seen that and you've seen the eagle. Anyway, they'll look cute. I can put them in different baskets. I don't care that it's the same pillow fabric. Sometimes people do that on purpose, don't they? All right, then the third one was given to me as a gift, but I don't remember who gave it to me. I can narrow it down to a couple people, but it was so long ago, I don't remember. And Google image search was not my friend. I couldn't find anything close to it. Doesn't it kind of remind you of Threadwork Primitives? But I think I tried that too, and I couldn't find anything. But it's really sweet, and there's a little piece of thread on the back that they wove through and tied in a knot so that it could be hung on, I have a wire tree that I put different holidays on, so it can be hung there, or you could put something, you could put a hook through it and hang it. That wouldn't be enough to put it like on a peg hook or something, because it's really tiny. But anyway, and then there's this really sweet grungy ribbon at the bottom. So I also had this on my patriotic tree last year, but in all that time I never did think of anything else that would help me identify it. So those were my vintage. Now my whips, okay, this one is not patriotic. I'm slowly moving forward on 12 Days of Christmas. And the last couple times I stitched on it, I did more of the words. So I did drumming and the DA in Ladies Dancing. And I think I had already finished Anna Pear Tree, but do you notice anything off about the lettering on the top row. So I was using the called for colors, and the gold was DMC 420, but I either borrowed some of it from another kit, or I didn't start with a full skein anyway. And I got out a new skein and it doesn't match. It's brighter and more gold. Trying to figure out if that bothers me or not. So where am I going to get an old skein from? So I would probably, if I'm going to stitch with a new skein, I think I have to take it all out. Or maybe I wouldn't have to take out the rows that are already finished, because maybe it wouldn't be as obvious. Or if it looked like a different color, maybe that would be okay because there's 2 shades of green. But I didn't notice it until I got to drumming. And I think that whole row is all done in the original die lot. So I was kind of bummed about that. I'm going to keep going for right now and see how I feel. Maybe when it's done and pressed, and if I decide to, I could always, take out the one that, at least the word that's in the same row as the new die lot. But then I also put another pot at the bottom, I guess. So I worked on that a little bit. And then something reminded me of this design. And I believe this was one of my 12 by 12s for, I forget now. I thought I looked it up and now I forgot. It was either one of my 12 by 12s for 2023 New Year's Eve, or it was Olympic stitching. Well, it doesn't really matter. But anyway, this was a 2012 kit, obviously, Lizzie Kate, you can see that. And if it has been reprinted, it would only be available at 123 Stitch. So you can check with them. But I don't believe it's available as a kit anymore, because I think when they reprint things, they're not providing all the material. Some of the materials are no longer available that she used, especially the buttons. This happens to be a 30 count stiff raw linen, which I think is still available, but I don't think they're making kits with them. So the last time I worked on it, I only had the dark navy in the word Liberty. So this week I added the blue and the yellow. So that's coming along. That should be a pretty quick stitch if I stick with it. Who knows? I might still stitch patriotic through July, or I don't know. I don't have a plan. So I think it just depends on how I feel. But this is so cute, and it's old, and why haven't I finished it yet? So, I mean, I just started it like last year or the year before, but yeah, maybe I'll continue working on this. Okay, then I had a new start. If you saw my social media post on Wednesday for Whip Wednesday, I had started, oh, well, you don't really need to see the chart because it's all done. So this is Happy Independence Day from Bent Creek. It's from their Holiday Snappers series. It's supposed to have 2 little silver snaps, one there and one there, I think. Somehow I didn't like the silver snaps. So I know what I did. I added more fireworks. Hey, these fireworks I like. Yeah, so I added that little line of fireworks to fill in that space. And then I found this really perfect button and I sewed that on. So I stitched with mostly the same colors as the original model. I did have to change that gold, I think, to heirloom gold because of die lot issues. I think what they called for was, or maybe I just used a newer die lot, because whatever they called for in my stash, it was really dull and didn't look good. And then the border was almost the same color as the star. So I had to rip half of it out when I realized what was happening. And it's still maple syrup, but I picked the darkest die lot that I had. And honestly, I had like 6 die lots because, you know, gentle art. So I just took it out and put the darkest maple syrup I could find, and I was pleased with it. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I kind of see a pillow with, is it bad to say a ruffle? I know ruffles aren't really in. Maybe a flange pillow, or maybe a cube. But I have another patriotic cube, so I don't necessarily need one of those, but we'll see. It was a kind of a quick stitch, and I was glad to finally get that done. After all these years, let's see. This came out in 2004, but it is what it is. We can stitch whenever we want to, right? Then I had a fully finish. So you had seen this before, the little eagle, but I didn't want to put the date or the initial, and it needed something in order to fit into the pillow. So I had added, nope, that was there. I had added this border down here. I just made it up and, you know, thought it would fill in the space a little bit. But when I showed it to you before, this was done in Weeks Dye Works Navy, and in certain light, it did not match the pillow. I took this pillow in broad daylight, put it next to every navy I could find, and the only thing it matched was DMC 939, which I could have used, but I couldn't find mine, and I know I have it, and I wasn't gonna get a whole nother 8-yard skein of 939. So I used Nighty Night from Classic Colorworks, and it matched the blue in the pillow, and it looked okay with, you know, the red that I had already chosen. And then I just did, you know, a little thing with a safety pin again and some buttons. So I didn't put any batting under this, and I realized in a previous video I said I'm going to talk about how I decide to put batting in, or when I decide to do that. And I showed you the two pillows and never talked about the batting. So the two floral pillows from the Festive Fobs Beekeeping Edition, I felt I think the border fabric was a little narrower, and when you put the when you put the batting or any kind of padding underneath it, it stuck out funny. So that's why I decided not to put padding under those. This is just a plain piece of fabric because I kept having to, I had to put the safety pin through this fabric because it's from the jewelry department, so it's not sharp, but it was the only gold one I could find. So I had to actually slip it through the cross stitch fabric, and I wanted to make sure I knew the placement before I would put like fusible batting or something underneath this. So I may try that, or I may just leave it the way it is. I mean, it's fine. So that was my fully finish. Okay, then, the other thing I forgot to tell you about this one is that I changed the flagpole to gunmetal. It had used swamp water, and it just, I don't know, it didn't look good on my pale gray fabric. So I changed it to gunmetal. Okay, all right. It pays to look at my notes. Okay, I probably should just start over again because I made another mistake. This will be my giveaway this week. So just say 12 days or 12 of anything, 12 something in your comments, and that's what I will give you. I have it in stock, so as soon as I know who's gonna get it, I can send that out. Okay, I even wrote this stuff in red so that it would jump out at me when I was checking my notes. Okay, that's that. Then for new shop models, I was telling my husband, I don't have any new models to show except the Halloween that I got from Marlene. And then I thought, oh, but I want to talk about something about Halloween. So this actually is very good timing. I'm going to be doing another Halloween slideshow video this year, and I wanted to give you plenty of time to think about it. I had some submissions last year after the video was complete, and I assured that person that I would use them this year. So I already have a start on the video. So whenever you decorate, specifically for Halloween, not just fall, but when you decorate for Halloween, take some pictures, take some, decor pictures or individual. If you have a Halloween tree, if you have a Halloween wreath, whatever you do, And if you have pictures that you took previously, obviously get those ready too. And it works out well to send them to me through email. So go ahead and do that. I don't have a deadline yet. I think I'd like to show the video before Halloween. So I think I need to make my my deadline earlier, and I'd like to have it done before the tour starts in October. So the deadline might be like the 1st of October. But we'll see. You can always check with me and see if I've done it yet. Chances are I won't have done it on time anyway. So I will show you 2 Halloween pieces that were loaned to me from our friend Marlene, whose birthday is on Halloween, and they're both from Tiny Modernist. Okay, this is 'Twas All Hallows Eve, and it comes as a 4-part series. You know, Cheryl at Tiny Modernist really likes to do stitch-alongs, so it comes with the rest of, like, when the first chart comes out, the rest of them are blurred, so you can't see what they are, so that it's a surprise. I don't know what fabric she did it on. It could have been a Picture This Plus, but it's a pretty gray, just the right color without being too crazy or too mottled. So we'll find a good place for that in the shop. And then the second piece is When Witches Go Riding. Same situation. It's a sal that comes in 4 parts. And I love that they picked up the purple. It just makes it a little more interesting. And this she did on Vintage Stormy Night from Zweigart. Okay, now let's talk about why I haven't gotten that much stitching done lately. June was just a big month for family events, so that cut into my time. The first was Father's Day, and I think I told you a little bit about that. My brother came in from Chicago, and one of our favorite restaurants to go to when he's there is First Watch. We love brunch, and it's right around the corner from my dad's facility, so it's convenient, and the food is always really good. And then we took the dogs and walked around Brunswick Lake, which is, I think they said it's a half-mile if you go all the way around. And it's right across the street from my dad's senior facility. And then we sat around and looked at family photos, mostly baby pictures of the 3 of us. So that was kind of fun to reminisce. Asked my dad what he remembered about us being born and getting the funny stories. So then the next thing was actually a church gathering. Our senior pastor and his wife are leaving because he was elected president of the Christian and Missionary Alliance. And so they're going to be in Columbus, which is about 2 hours away. They've been our lead pastor for over 25 years. And before that, his dad was the pastor for many years. I've known him since I was a teenager. They lived right behind us. His oldest sister was one of my best friends in junior high, and I had been to his church previously many times. Although until I was 18, I still had to go to church with my dad. So anyway, we've really enjoyed having him as the pastor. They've been there for over 25 years. And so it was sad to see them go, but really what an honor for him to be elected. It just shows what the entire organization thinks about him, not just his local church. And it was a beautiful evening. They showed a slideshow throughout the years of his family and the church as it's grown and expanded. They had family and staff members talk about what they've learned from them and how they've impacted their lives. And it was a beautiful evening, but sad for us. We'll probably see them every once in a while because they still have family in the area. But that was on Friday the 27th. Then the next day was my brother's birthday, and I didn't know this, but he had told my sister-in-law that he wanted to go to the Ohio Scottish Games, which was at the fairgrounds nearby. And I didn't know till I think I was on my way to work on Saturday, but I decided to go surprise him. My husband wasn't feeling well, so I went by myself. So I'll have some pictures of that. And he did a whiskey tasting. I just had a glass of Wicked Peach Mead, and I think honey wine is something I could get on board with. I enjoyed that. I do tend to like sweet wines, so I think I could. That could become a favorite of mine. Then we did an Irish-Scottish language lesson. That was very interesting. We watched a family get an axe throwing lesson. We ate Scottish meat pie. We listened to several bands, including bagpipes. Is that called a band? I don't know what that's called. But our favorite was Jenny and the Weasels. They were really good. They were from Nashville. Then we watched the Knights of Valor jousting exhibition. I have a little bit of video for that at the end. And then we had pineapple whip, which was just pineapple ice cream, but it was delicious and refreshing because it was really hot that day too. And then we also surprised him by taking him back to my dad's place, and we had a Boston cream pie waiting. So he didn't know that was happening, and he didn't know he was going to get 2 desserts that night. So that was the 28th. And then July 3rd, our favorite local band was playing nearby at our Brunswick Recreation Center. And I think they've been there for the around July 4th several times previously. It could be because 2 of the band members are from Brunswick, and so maybe they arrange it so they can do that. We did not stay for the fireworks, but the concert was excellent as always. And then let's see, so that was July 3rd, July 4th, we didn't do anything. And today we had to use the gift certificates that we got free when we bought gift certificates on Father's Day. And today was the best day for my brother's family to use them because they were going on vacation later. So I have a picture of my breakfast from First Watch to end the video. I do want to warn you, I turned all the volume down to 50%, but the jousting still sounds really loud. So when you get to the part where I'm showing the video, maybe turn it down automatically. So, okay, and then the last thing is I was giving away the bits and pieces, and I said you could have any of the 4 seasons, and the winner was Michelle B, B-E-E, 7528, and she had said that she would like to get winter. So that's the end of my content for tonight, except for the pictures. And thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
beaten to bits. All right, raise your voices for Sir Kyron Fairchild. Oh!
Knights, receive your lances. Knights received. Knights coming about.